Hello and welcome into Main Street Preps this week. I'm Russell Venozzi. It's just me today, though. Tyler Palmatier is on vacation, enjoying some much-needed rest, so hope he's having a good time. Show must go on, though, so we are still here with the latest episode of Main Street Preps this week. I'm excited to, in just a moment, talk to Franklin baseball coach Wally Whidby about one of his former players, A.J. Russell, that's going to be heading to the College World Series with Tennessee after a really promising freshman season over there in Knoxville. And to wrap up the show, I'm going to go over some of the all-mid-state players of the year from our teams that have come out from the past week and give some of the reasoning behind that. And that'll be the show right there. So before we get into all of that, I want to remind everybody this podcast is sponsored by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. Let's go ahead and bring in Franklin baseball coach Wally Whidby now. He's been kind enough to join us. Wally, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Russell?
Doing great. So Wally, Tennessee baseball earned a trip to the College World Series on Monday, beating Southern Miss in that winner-take-all game. And earlier in the day on Monday, former Franklin standout A.J. Russell, one of your former players, was named first-team All-America by the National College Baseball Writers Association. How neat was that for you to see when that came over the line there that A.J. had earned All-America as a freshman?
It was great. It's one of those things where you send a kid that has a high talent level, a high ceiling level to an SEC program and kind of try to nurture them as much as you can, prepare them for what to expect. But, honestly, playing at that level, AJ he's a very young freshman. It's a lot of things that people don't know that AJ Russell is 18 years old or he's about to turn 19. But, to see him have the success that he has in his freshman season has been tremendous. He kind of knew what he was running into because he had heard about the workouts with Q. He was looking forward to playing for Coach Anderson, one of the most brilliant pitching minds in college baseball. And he just went in, was extremely coachable, worked as hard as he could, and you're seeing the success on the field right now.
And just looking at his stat line here, I mean, it's pretty phenomenal what he's done as a reliever, also with one game started. He's 2-0 with a .94 ERA, about 29 innings pitched, and 46 strikeouts to just 7 walks, a great ratio there. I'm sure you knew he was capable of that kind of production eventually in his college career, but I guess what do you think has allowed him to be so successful here just his first year on campus?
Well, I think that, obviously playing at the Division I level in the SEC, AJ has access to more resources than he ever has in his life. And so one of the things that I would say that he is able to do is he's able to hold weight. In AJ's senior year, he had mono, he got braces, and I think he had his braces taken off. So he was around 175. Well, AJ's holding about 205 pounds right now. He worked extremely hard in the off-season conditioning. They continue maintaining his level of physical fitness, and he trusts the process that the coaches put him through in the off-season and in the season, and you're seeing results. I mean, he was topping out around 93, 94 at Franklin, and now consistently that's where he's sitting and touching 96.
That leads perfectly to my next question. I was going to ask you about the velocity. So obviously he was already in the 90s last year, but I know when we talked after one of his starts last season, you were telling me that his fastball, even if it is, upper 80s, low 90s, was playing up because of his 6'6" frame. He was delivering the ball, a little bit closer to the plate, making it tough for hitters, and then also had a sort of a deceptive arm slot. I guess, can you kind of walk us through some of the things that he does that makes him so difficult for opposing batters to get a hit off of him?
So AJ, obviously, in high school, he was, 6'5", little, right in that area. Now he's grown another inch. AJ is still growing, which is tremendous. I jokingly nicknamed him the Mountain whenever he moved to Franklin his junior year. And now you're seeing why. But AJ has, a long, lanky frame. He's extremely whippy. He's not your standard over the top. He's probably just above 3/4. But one of the greatest things I think with AJ's mechanics is his extension. With him being 6'6", he has a long stride. When he releases that baseball, he hides it really well. And then, whenever he's releasing the ball finally, he's closer to home plate than your average pitcher. And so, back in high school, his 90-91 was looking more like 93-94, and now at the Division I level, with him running it up there around 96, that's probably looking like 97-98, up to 100 miles an hour. And the other thing about AJ is, talking with him after the fall, when he first started throwing live to his hitters on the team, he got knocked around a bit. And, he was a little discouraged at first. And then I told him, I was like, that should, obviously push you and motivate you. But at the same time, it should be an encouragement in knowing that this is what everybody's having to pitch to. And I think that as he got more and more live reps against his teammates, he learned the mistakes that he could and couldn't make, the pitches he could and couldn't get away with, and he made those adjustments. And as he faces the rest of the nation's talent, he's gotten better. That was the thing about AJ in high school was, he was a physical specimen. He had great mechanics. He could throw the baseball hard, but AJ Russell could pitch. And I think I talked to you one time about, a conversation I had with a professional scout was, he asked me before the game, what can I expect from AJ? And I kind of let him know. And I said, look, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but if he's not lighting up the radar gun, 93, 94 every pitch, don't read too far into that, because AJ's a smart kid, and AJ would literally only throw as hard as he needed to get people out and to strike people out. And I think that mature mental approach has really kind of platformed him into what he's doing right now at the next level.
So obviously Tennessee's starting rotation is pretty stacked this year. There wasn't necessarily room for a freshman to walk in the door and take a job right away, but maybe next season or down the road, could you see AJ pushing for a starting role, or maybe a high leverage role in relief?
100%. I think that was kind of the conversations he's been having with the coaching staff at Tennessee is you're coming on campus, wait your turn. AJ and I have had several conversations about, obviously he wants the ball, and I'm encouraging him constantly that for him to get on the field as a true freshman, for him to get a couple starts as a true freshman, for him to throw in SEC play, those are tremendous indicators that they have a lot planned for him. And to AJ's credit, AJ is the ultimate teammate. AJ, if you asked him, kind of like Bernsey, if you asked him to come back, 2 days in a row, he's willing to do that, assuming his arm was feeling good. But he decided early on that whatever the coaching staff asked him, you got two first rounders probably in that rotation right now. And then you got a lot of guys with a lot of, major Division I innings on that staff. And so AJ is mature enough to understand he had to wait his turn in line. But I will tell you this, that it's AJ's expectation, it's AJ's ambition, it's AJ's driving force that he wants one of those weekend spots next year. And I would say, based off of what he's done so far, the kind of worker that he is, the plan that he has for the all season, I think that you can probably expect AJ to be competing for one of those weekend starts.
And you talked about it at the top of the interview, how AJ is pretty young for his grade. And to me, that might be the most fascinating part of this whole thing is that, he's not going to be eligible for the MLB draft until 2025, I believe. So he's going to be there for the 3 years. Plenty of time for him to continue to develop. Does the fact that he's got, that kind of time on his side make it even more exciting? This strong start that he's had, he's got this strong start, but then he's also got this runway to keep getting better, it seems like.
100%. That one of the things about AJ that's probably the most appealing, if now that we're talking even the next level, is the fact of his projectability. He is still an 18-year-old kid. He has a large stature. He's already throwing a very heavy baseball, and he's also a hard worker. One of the pluses that I've discussed with AJ looking forward, if he wants to have a career in Major League Baseball, would be his freshman year. He's kind of saving bullets. He hasn't had to run up multiple 100-pitch outings, and so he's had time for the arm care. He's had to kind of learn a new routine. He's had to adjust to relieving. As a starter, you're prepped, you're mentally ready to go. You know what you need to do for your pregame rep, and then you go out there and compete. As a reliever, it's a different ball game, and that's something that he's had to adjust to. But I think that we've all been able to see that that's something that he's handled well. But yeah, AJ being as young as he is and as driven as he is, for him to be at 96 at 18 years old and at 6'6", that's really impressive. And the other thing about, if he's anything like me, my big velo jump actually came between my 19 and 20-year-old. I was a lefty back in the mid 90s, and I was sitting probably 85, 86, but I didn't hit the weight room any harder than I usually did. But all of a sudden, this physical maturity, I don't know if my man strength came in or whatever, but next thing you know, I'm lighting up the radar gun in the 90s a little bit. And I think that if we can continue to see AJ put in the work, use the resources that he has, the nutrition, the weight room, and just the natural maturity, he could be up there like Chase and those other guys hitting triple digits before you know it.
Yeah, speaking of Chase Burns, I mean, you look up and down the Tennessee lineup and their roster. I mean, they used a lot of local players in key spots against Southern Miss. They really have all year. But Ravenwood's Zane Denton had a big weekend at the plate. Chase Burns obviously came in to close that decisive game. Drew Beam had a great start in Game 3 there. I guess from your perspective as a high school coach, what do you make of the way that Tony Vitello is going in and scooping up a lot of the best Nashville area guys, right in Vanderbilt's backyard, right in an area where I'm sure a lot of other SEC and high-profile teams would love to be getting their hands on some of these guys?
To V's credit, I mean, if he hears about a kid, if there's buzz about a kid, especially in his home state, he'll get in the car and drive 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever he needs to do to see for himself. There was a considerable amount of buzz around AJ after his junior year, heading into his senior year, and we were playing Columbia actually on Mule Day. And if you know anything about Columbia, Tennessee on Mule Day, it's pretty nightmarish when it comes to traffic. But Tony came and actually watched AJ pitch, and AJ actually carried a no-hitter into the seventh inning, and I pulled him because he was around, I think 89, 90 pitches, and he wanted the baseball. He wanted to go back out, but he was, he understood that I was going to always look out for him, look out for his arm. And so we went ahead and pulled him with a no-hitter and right in front of Tony Vitello. So, but Tony gets after it. Tony's, he's open with the coaches. He's accessible. He gives you his information. And when he tells you if you need something from him, he will do that. And I think that, the atmosphere in Knoxville is electric right now. I think if you're a college baseball fan, if you're a baseball fan in general, that's an environment that you would love to play in. Nothing against Corbs. Corbs is great. Scott Brown, those guys are great. But again, it was one of those deals where AJ had talked to several people. I had talked to several people, but Tony put his money where his mouth is and showed up and watched him play. And you see now, why AJ landed there, and you got Dylan Loy headed there next year. A lot of the guys that are around here want to play for Tony Vitello, for Frank Anderson. I mean, it's just he keeps the right people in the right spots in that program, and they're seeing the success now.
Switching gears a little bit here, Wally. I want to talk about a current Franklin pitcher with a lot of promise, and that's Trevor Ferris. I was blown away when you sent these stats over for the All-Mid-State team, but he finished this spring with a 7-1 record, a .5 ERA, 62 strikeouts and 46 2/3 innings, only 3 earned runs all year. What can you tell us about Trevor and his outlook heading into his senior season?
So Trev, I call him Big Trev. The mountain was occupied. Otherwise, he's got a good shot at Mountain 2.0. Trevor is an extremely hardworking, humble kid. That guy, he is. He's a gym rat. He's a lab rat. He takes more BP. He does more things to take care of his body. He's a student of the game. He is extremely nice. And what makes Trevor intriguing is he's a 6'5" guy. When he came to our program, he was around 255, and we got him in our all-season program. And to his credit, he got after it. And right now, he's around 6'5", 6'6", 235. He has where AJ was more just above 3/4 and would fluctuate down a little lower. Trevor is more of a straight over the top guy. So everything Trevor throws is tumbling. It's like his fastball is a natural sinker, and he does what sinker ball pitchers do. He gets a lot of ground balls and pop outs, a lot of weak contact, but he also got plenty of strikeouts. And Trevor's another kid that has a really good breaking ball that he can throw for a strike at any time. His strike percentage, it stayed consistently between 70 and 80% all year, which is tremendous for a high school junior. He just works hard. He does the right things. He surrounds himself with the right people. He's a fantastic teammate. He's an excellent student. And he also mashes. If you ever saw Trevor get a hold of one, I mean, he hit three or four bombs. I think he hit 6 in scrimmages and games. But when Trevor hits one, it's something to see. So he's a great two-way guy.
So you guys have Trevor back, and that's really exciting. And I was looking just at your roster, and of course, a lot of outgoing talent in that senior class this year. Carson Cochran going to Carson Newman, Drew Whalen going to Western Kentucky, Caleb Anderson going to Xavier, and Alex Eisenbeck going to Rowan State. My apologies if I'm missing anybody there, but that's quite a bit of talent walking out the door. How do you guys go about finding the right players to fill those shoes this coming season?
So I'm going to just fill a couple more spots. We had Braden Woods. He's headed to LeTourneau University down in Texas. And then Jackson Knotts, he was a late signing. He's joining Alex Eisenbeck at Rowan State. Other than the extremely high level of talent that those guys had on the field, that was a very tight-knit group. We had 10 seniors in that class, and they were a very, very close group. That team chemistry was fantastic. Leadership was fantastic. And just overall, they were just great humans. I told them at the end of the season, I think they deserved better, but baseball is a funny game, man. Just the way that things happen. But the way that we, can bounce back from them is the legacy they leave behind. Those guys poured into the younger players. They poured into the juniors. They showed them how to lead. They showed them how to buy into what we're doing, our system at Franklin High School. We had a lot of young guys get a lot of playing time. Tristan Ballone started for us in right field. It looks like he will likely slide over to center because he is extremely quick, gets really good jumps on baseballs, hits from the left side, and runs very well when he gets on the bases. You've got Logan Johnson, who he was down a little bit this year, went through some stuff with his back and a little bit with his shoulder, just inflammation stuff, nothing serious, but he's coming back. He's having a great summer for the Old Hickory 45s. You've got the Horde twins. If you know anything about those guys, Carson started for me as a freshman at second base, moved to the outfield this year. His brother Corey didn't get to play his freshman year. He played for us all year at second base. A tremendous amount of power at the plate. A solid defensive player. They both play for the 5-star national team. They're having great summers so far. And then some other guys that names that you might not have heard of. We had a kid move in from California that got varsity reps as a freshman behind Carson Cochran behind the plate. He's going to be really good. His name is Elijah Crenshaw. Thompson King, Andrew Dixon, he'll play some first base for us. Extremely good defender. We actually brought him up for the district tournament to play first base, and he made a game-saving play in the field. And so we have other guys that got plenty of reps, a lot of arms. Jackson Lane coming in, the lefty. He's going to get he's already gotten meaningful innings. He'll get more. Seth Evans, as a sophomore, got meaningful innings. Barrett Smith got meaningful innings. So again, it's not like we're starting from square one. This senior class, it was tremendous, but the legacy they left behind, I think that you'll see that come into fruition pretty early on as we run through the gauntlet. That's the new WCS conference is what they're wanting to call it, but it's going to be a pretty wild ride with 3-game series with all the Williamson County teams.
Yeah, tell me more about that. I know the districts and stuff are changing up this coming year, but yeah, tell me about. So all the Williamson County teams are going to be together, or I guess all the big schools are going to be together.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. It's one of those situations where me as a coach and me as an advocate for Williamson County sports, it would have been great if you'd have taken 4 of the big schools and split them and joined somewhere east, north, east, south, or west, and done the same with the other. But that's not what happened. We are the only 8-team district in the state. I think there's a couple, maybe one with 7 and a couple with 6. But other than that, mostly 5-team districts around the state. So to have all 8 of us in the same district is going to be tough. But the great thing is none of us are really strangers to it. Prior to the last change, we were a 9-team district, and most of us were in that district. Nolensville was still kind of freshman and sophomore only, but we've all been there. The 3-game series, it's going to be very interesting. If you look at it from a scheduling standpoint, it's pretty great because you only have to go out and find, a few non-district games and jump in a tournament, and there's your season. But the strain and the rigor of getting through 3-game series every week with teams, I guess based off last season, had several teams that were in the top 10 in the state and 4A all in the same district, and only 2 get through to the region. So it's going to be extremely competitive. Don't know if there's a front runner coming out the gate, which is good. I think that I like the fact that the spot we're in, where everybody thinks that we're in a rebuilding year. So the expectations for us might not be that high. That's not true on campus. Our boys are bought into what we're doing. They expect to come in and compete. And I guess we'll find out during spring break. First game, we open up with Nolensville in a 3-game series. So.
Well, there you go. Whoever gets out of that district is certainly going to have earned it. So, Wally, thanks again for all your insight today. Appreciate you coming on to talk about AJ, to talk about your team. Really enjoyed the conversation, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
All right, that's been Franklin baseball coach Wally Whidby. Really kind of him to join for as long as he did there. Great interview. We're going to take a quick break and then come back with some all mid-state talk before we wrap up the show, so stick around for that.
Tired of painting lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
Vroom, vroom, time for the Rackley Roofing 200, and it is going to be June 23rd out at the Nashville Super Speedway. And we partnered up, all of us here at Main Street Media TV, and we have joined with Rackley Roofing to send you. Yep, what you got to do to win, all you got to do is go to your favorite Main Street Media website, look for the Enter to Win banner, click there, and you're in. Like Flynn. Isn't that cool? Main Street Media TV and Rackley Roofing sending you to the races.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Rolling right along here on Main Street Preps this week. I want to take a moment to review some of our all mid-state players of the year for spring sports. These were part of the all mid-state teams that have come out over the past week. You can find all of them, if you missed it, at mainstreetpreps.com. But starting with baseball, Carson Rucker from Good Pasture, a senior, he was our player of the year. And this was a pretty easy call here. Carson hit 500 with 18 home runs, 81 RBI, and 33 stolen bases. He's moving up MLB draft boards. I know scouts have been out to see him throughout the spring at batting practice, at games. And he's really been impressive throughout. And his brother, of course, is Jake Rucker, former Tennessee and JP2 star, who is now, I believe, in Double-A with the Minnesota Twins organization. So certainly a pedigree there for Carson. Congrats to him on a great senior season. Looking at softball, this was another pretty straightforward decision. Kaylee Plumley from Gordonsville, only a sophomore, and man, she did not play like one. She hit 562 at the plate, 8 home runs, 49 RBI, while mowing players down in the circle as a pitcher. She was 28-2, a .95 ERA, 358 strikeouts in 155 innings, leading Gordonsville to its first state championship since 2014. She's got a lot of promise. I mean, to be doing this kind of thing as a sophomore is really impressive. She's already got, believe it or not, 1,000 strikeouts for her career because she played up as an 8th grader in 2021. So just a fantastic season from Kaylee there in the softball realm. Soccer. This was an interesting one. Cooper Bailey from Brentwood got the nod. He had 30 goals and 14 assists in their perfect season, but actually he was not even around for that championship game, and I believe the semifinal, due to a red card earlier in the tournament. But his team went out and won it for him, even without their top scorers. Just kind of shows you how impressive Brentwood was this season. So congrats to Cooper on that nod. Track and field, a little more difficult here, but on the boys' side, we gave it to Griffin Frankfather from FRA. He was the Division II single-A decathlon champion. And whenever you win the decathlon, I mean, that just shows the kind of athlete you are. So it makes sense for him to be the athlete of the year there on the boys' side. And then on the girls' side, Abby Faith Cheeseman, just an incredible showing at the state meet for her. She won 4 first-place medals, and I was there to watch that, and it was nothing short of impressive what she did. She won the 800, the 1600, and the 3200. Those were individual races, of course. And as she was getting her medal for the 3200, right after the picture was taken, she hopped off the medal stage, gave her medal to somebody else, and joined the line for the, the Web School relay team there, and won that. I'm losing my voice here. But just a great outing for Abby Faith Cheeseman, another sophomore with a promising career ahead of her there on the track. Maybe some water here will help bring the voice back. There we go. And lastly, tennis. Boys Player of the Year, Hank Tronson. Innsworth, he fell short in the state championship. Ran into a really good player from MUS who signed with Mississippi State, but Hank had a great season himself. That was his only loss all year. He went 17-1, signed with Oklahoma. So look for big things for him in the future years there in the college ranks after a fantastic high school career at Innsworth. And then on the girls' side, Grace Stout from Ravenwood. She's a Wofford signee and the number 6 ranked recruit in the Tennessee's 2023 class. She didn't lose all but 2 matches. I messed that up. She lost only 2 matches all season. So that's great play from her. Grace Stout, there's the player of the year on the girls' side in tennis. And so those were the all mid-state players of the year. Like I said, you can see the full teams at mainstreetpreps.com. A lot of good content to soak in there, even during the summer, where, of course, sports are not quite as busy. We've still got stuff going. We've still got coaching changes happening. All county teams from all of our different areas coming out. There's college football recruiting's in full swing. So certainly still plenty to read on the site. And on the way out, I want to mention that we actually have a sale going on and a digital sale going on our Universal Online Access subscriptions. You can get 3 months for just the total of $3, which is a great deal because that's usually $9.99 a month. And that gives you access to everything, not only on Main Street Preps, but also all of Main Street Media of Tennessee's publications. Anywhere you hit a paywall on our site, you will be able to get through. If you've got that Universal Online Access subscription, like I said, normally $9.99 a month, but right now we're offering 3 months, the first 3 months for just $3, and then it'll be $9.99 after that. So a great deal to try it out if you're kind of on the fence. If you're already a little more committed and you want to get a great deal on the annual pass, the Universal Online Access annual pass is only $49.99 right now. And that's down from its original price of $99.99. So the codes for those on the monthly one to get the 3 for 3, the code, pretty straightforward. It's just 3FOR3, and that's all caps. Enter that code at checkout and you'll get that deal. If you want the half off deal, it's just 50 off, 50 OFF with OFF and all caps at checkout. And you can sign up for this on any of our pages, but probably the easiest place to go is mainstreetmediatn.com/subscribe. That's mainstreetmediatn.com/subscribe. Again, you can enter one of those 2 codes at checkout to get the deal. I think it's a great thing to try out right now. And like I said, if you already like what we do, that annual pass is also a great deal. And if those aren't for you, of course, you can just subscribe to Main Street Preps as well. I believe that's $3.99 a month or $34.99 a year. So we'd love to have you as a subscriber. Before we go, and remind everybody, this podcast is sponsored by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll be back same place, same time next week on Main Street Preps this week. Talk to you then.